Oh, I'm live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the short stream pre-Toonami Anime Saturday. I'll be playing some oh, where's my water? That's not the game we're playing. We're not playing Where's My Water, because this is not a game. Where's my water? Oh, I found it. Don't worry, that game is over now. What we're really playing is some Steins Gate Zero. And new game, because I haven't played it already. It just finished downloading like 15 minutes ago. Oh god. It already looks like Corpse Party. Corpse Party. Corpse Party. August 21st, 2010. The hatch opened. Bright light flooded my eyes. Where was I? My eyes narrowed. I could barely make out the summer's night's twilight sky. I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to disappear. But why I'm laughing, I haven't watched Steins Gate in dub, and that voice kind of surprised me. It's funny as hell. I didn't have the energy to respond to my own nickname. I fell to the ground and wrapped my arms around myself. But her kindness felt like nothing but a nuisance. Don't talk to me. Just leave me alone. I'm trying not to laugh. Daughter ran to the door and led back inside the building. Stop it. Just get away from me. Leave me alone. I couldn't save her. In fact, I killed her myself. Right here, 3 weeks ago. I killed her. I'm a murderer.
無駄だったんだ。何を同じだ。真由里の時と同じなんだ。どれだけもがいたって結果は同じになる。
Oh, you're not gonna finish the rest of that sentence? Okay. The process doesn't matter. Whether you time travel or time leap, you can't go back and change the results of the past. I thought I understood that cruel truth. But now, I was forced to realize it again, and in the worst possible way.
無駄だよ。無駄なんだ。何もかも無駄なんだよ。俺はやっぱりクリスを助けられないんだ。分かってた。分かってたんだ。こうなるって予想してたんだ。もう疲れた。ずっと休んでないんだ。だからもういいよ。
りん、一体何が。
俺が殺してしまった。バカみたいだ。全部俺のせいだ。
マキセ・クリスをさ、殺した？嘘、そんな。でも安心して、まだもう1回分タイムトラベルはできる。
ほっといてくれ。俺のことなんか何度やったって結果は同じだ。
何言ってんの？諦めるつもり？オカリンおじさんの肩には何十億っていう人の命がかかってるんだよ。たった1回の失敗が何だって言うんだ。
クリスはどうやったって助けられない。世界線の収束には逆らえない。
There was a thing at the top, I couldn't read it in time. Time. Anime. Well, this specific one.
こうなったらビンタしてでも気合い入れ直して。ダメだよ、無理強いするのは良くないよ。こんなボロボロになってるオカリン見てられないもん。でもさ、このままじゃ未来を変えられない。どうして未来のことをオカリン一人に押し付けるの？そんなの重すぎるよ。オカリンおじさんには世界の観測者としての能力があるからだよ。オカリンが望んだわけじゃないのに、それにもう一度やったってまたオカリンが傷つくだけだって思うな。未来のことを人一人で変えようなんてきっと無理なんだよ。だからそのためのシュタインズゲートで。気持ちはわかるよ。でもさ、私も未来をかけてここまで来てるんだよね。どっちにしろ2036年には戻れないんだ。そう簡単に諦めるつもりはないから。オカリンおじさん、一つだけ忠告しとく。このタイムマシンに残されてる燃料は有限なの。さっきは往復2回分しか残ってないって言ったけど、実はまだそれなりに余裕はある。それでも移動できる時間はおよそ344日分。片道のタイムトラベルだとしても、今から1年と経たないうちに7月28日には届かなくなる。覚えといて。その日になったらさ、私はたとえ一人でも飛ぶよ。
Someone was saying something to me, but I couldn't understand the words. I didn't want to listen to anything. I just wanted to sleep. Just let it all in. Just let me go.
オカリン、オカリン、ねえ、オカリン、もう頑張らなくてもいいからね。泣いてもいいんだよ。オカリン、マユシーはそばにいるからね。オカリン。
I don't know if my Yuri's words were the reason why, but the tears started to flow. Decided to forget everything. Ever since that day, I stopped going to the Future Gadget Lab. Open the new gate. Absolute Zero. That's an anime, I think. A different anime. November 23rd, 2010. UPX, the new symbol of Akihabara, was located right in front of the station. In the hall on the 4th floor, preparations have been going on all morning for the ATF Akihabara Techno Forum Convention. Universities and labs from both inside and outside the country will work together to put on special seminars and symposiums at irregular intervals. My school, Tokyo Denki University, was participating as part of its industry collaboration efforts. Students were required to attend these seminars and submit reports, not records, to their instructors. Otherwise, they wouldn't get credit for their related classes. In addition, I was supposed to help one of the lecturers, Associate Professor Izaki. I just got a list from the reception desk at the shared lobby. I was waiting to check off the names of students who were coming to the lectures. There was still some time before the seminar started, so the lobby was mostly empty. None of the students were on the list were here yet. I was bored, but I couldn't do anything but wait. Old me could have imagined doing anything like this, but impressing Izaki was part of my new goal in life. Victor Chandria University. Yes, that was my new goal. Izaki did a lot of joint research projects with them and knew a lot of people there. The best first step to getting there my brain could come up with was being his assistant. Also, this convention was holding another seminar by Victor Chandria University after the one held this summer. Of course, that interests me too. Summer. I am playing as Rintaro. An image of her as she was then flashed to my mind. I was trying to get to Victor Chandria so that I could learn about the work that Kurisu Makise had been doing. I wanted to try to do it myself. Oh, I had to do this. Not here. Not here. Might as well turn that on. Or was it already on? What is this? Can this be the new Pepe? Or some other meme? I'll leave that as it is. Alright, I'll leave that as it is. Alright, what am I doing? I'm calling somebody. Who's Lukaku? I don't remember. Wait. Yeah, I don't know who that is. I don't remember her from the anime. Oh, I did a thing, but I don't know what it did, 'cause that... Oh, I could just keep going. Of course, I wasn't a genius like Kurisu. I knew there was no way I'd ever be able to do exactly what she did. Can I get rid of the skip button? Oh! I definitely skipped. I looked up and saw a young girl approaching from the elevator hall. She was short and petite. That's the same thing, short and petite. Everything about her was small. I could kind of make out a few of the curves that don't appear until after puberty. What? So at least she wasn't in elementary school. But maybe middle school? Someone with such a cute face. She clearly didn't care about her appearance. Her hair wasn't styled and it didn't pour down her back. And even I could tell her clothes weren't very fashionable.
ごめんなさい。スタッフルームってどこかしら？
ここは ATF のセミナー会場だけど。
Really not a place where a middle school girl belonged. Probably just come to the wrong place.
そんなの分かっているわ。 何度同じ話を繰り返せば気が済むの。
Also, let me know if you don't want me to read out loud, though I do need to practice speaking.
いや今初めて言ったんだけど。
私にとってはあなたで4回目よ、この場所に来てからね。
Irritated, she pulled a card out of her jacket. It was one of the IDs given out to invited guests. Her name and the name of her workplace were written on the front.
Huh?
Victor Chandra University, USA, Brain Science Institute. Huh? Oh, that's... I'm pushing buttons just to see what they do.
ビクトル・コンドリア大学脳科学研究所。
Okay, I'll keep reading. I looked at the card, and then at her. Then back at the card. Then I looked at her again. I finally realized.
ああ、そういうことか。そのカードどこに落ちてたんだ。拾ってくれたん。
その話も4回目よ。
She sighed, and showed me another card. This one was a photo ID from Victor Chandra University.
Eh?
It was the same ID I'd seen Kurusu holding before on another world line. A photo on the card. Yeah, that was definitely her.
ヒヤジョウマホって読むの。私の名前、ヒヤジョウマホ。漢字でもローマ字でも誰も読めた試しがないから先に言っとくわ。
That seems pretty easy to pronounce, and more especially in Japanese, because it is a Japanese name. And it's not that hard in English, because all you're doing is pronouncing each sound. There's no more complication than that.
ビクトル・コンドリア大学の中学生？
寝ぼけるなら夜にして。大学に中学生がいるわけないでしょ。
Sure they do. They have high schools. Why not middle schools?
それもそうだな。じゃあ飛び級か。
Unlike in Japan, it wasn't uncommon for Americans to skip grades. Kurisa made it to university at age 17. But still, girl this young working in a university lab?
一つ確認していいかしら。
お
あなた今少なからず衝撃を受けてるわよね。
Damn right I am.
こんな小さい子信じられないかしら。それともこの年齢ですごいの方。
She got me.
ここをよく見なさい。
The girl, Maho Hiyajo, wanted to part the ID with her slender fingers. See, I told you, easy to pronounce. Born in 1989, and it was 2010, so...
21歳。
つまり立派な成人女性よ。中学生じゃないのよ。もちろん小学生でも幼稚園児でも。
Then she puffed out her chest. There wasn't much to see, but I could imagine her saying, "They look bigger when I'm not wearing clothes. They're huge."
何かしらその顔。
いや悪かったわ。謝る。
I couldn't believe it. She was older than me. If Daru was here, he'd be dancing around screaming, "Legal Lovely for the win!"
まあいいわ。世界中どこへ行っても同じ目に遭ってるから。
うん、そうだろうな。
何か言った？
いや別に。
Still, the Brain Science Institute? That's where Kurisu worked. Which means this kid, no, this person, might know a lot about Kurisu. I held back the impulse to start badgering her with questions. I looked at the pamphlet with the seminar schedules. Victor Chandra's lecture was the last one for the day, It was clearly intended to be the biggest. Was this Maho Yajo girl going to give me a lecture? Just like Crazy had done at the summer convention. Looked like she was gonna deep throat the mic. Just saying. No, wait, that's wrong. That never happened. Never gave any lectures over the summer. It happened in the Alpha World Line. In the world line I inhabited now, before the summer convention, she had already.
君が今日登壇を？
いいえ、私は助手として来たの。あと通訳も兼ねてね。
Also, if you couldn't tell, this is a visual novel game. At least I assume it is, based on what's happened so far. I kind of just bought the game because it said Steins, and I wanted to play it. I have no other knowledge other than watching the anime. So this is like an off story that's based on the story. The story that happened while this hasn't happened. Anyways, Alexis, let's skin it. Professor at Victor Sandria University and Chief Researcher at the Brain Science Institute.
テーマは人工知能革命。面白そうだ。
時間があったらぜひ聞いてみてほしいわね。
そうするよ。あ、スタッフルームだったよな。
I led Maho over to the elevator hall and showed her where the staff room was.
ありがとう。
I had no reason to hang around her any further. I said goodbye and was just about to turn around. Just then, the elevator opened. A woman emerged. Oh, I know who this is. Instant I saw her face, every hair on my body stood on end. Oh, I was wrong, but I know who that is. Moika. Kiryu. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. Calm down. This is the Beta World line. Mayuri is alive. Moika's not going to kill her. That's kind of a spoiler for the for the show. If you haven't watched Steins Gate, there's a chunk of couple episodes where he tries to stop that from happening. Our eyes met. The eyes on the other side of her glasses were as dead as ever. It was impossible to tell what she was thinking. I frantically averted my gaze before she realized something was wrong. She tilted her head for a second, but quickly lost interest in me and turned toward Maho.
ああ、雑誌社の方でしたよね。お約束通り取材を。
Even in this world line, Moika still only spoke in faint whispers.
レスキネン教授はまだなんです。少しお待たせしてしまいますけど。はい。それまで私でよければシステムの概要でもお願いします。
The two of them disappeared into the staff room. As I watched them leave, I took a deep breath. They're gonna bang. I tried to calm down, but it wasn't working. Erotic thoughts in my head.
桐生萌か。もしかしてまたお前なのか。
It was a terrible feeling, like a cold finger tracing the wounds in my heart. That night, when the terrorist threat shut down all the trains in Akihabara, that awful night, when I just knew something was going to happen.
ここでもまたお前が。
Always referencing that chunk of episodes again that I mentioned before. Or was I just imagining things? Was he just a magazine reporter now, instead of a CERN rounder? If you don't know what CERN is, it's like the real life CERN. Kinda. Where they research things like this. Well, maybe not like this, because I had no idea what CERN is in real life. It's probably not even CERN, it's probably like a one letter difference in the name. Even if Moika was a rounder, we had nothing to do with CERN anymore. CERN wouldn't be watching us. Someone look up what CERN is, or what its real life equivalent is. Took another deep breath, grabbed some of the anxiety meds in my pocket, and swallowed them down with some mineral water I bought ahead of time. It would take 15 minutes for them to kick in. Those 15 minutes were always pretty rough. I laughed at myself a little, and sat down on one of the reception desk chairs. The table was filled with leaflets, pamphlets, and other things for attendees. My eyes wandered to one of the pamphlets. Nakamachi Theory and the Genealogy of Pseudoscience. Say that 5 times fast. This pamphlet was for Professor Izaki's seminar. Nakamachi Theory. Did I say theory in a Japanese accent? Nah, paper he announced in Russia. That paper held the key to creating a real time machine. On that day, July 18th, Nakamachi had stolen the paper from Kurisu, his own daughter, and left with it. And you can guess what happened. I knew that. Only Nakamachi and I knew that. I flipped through the pamphlet. It was a brief introduction to the many forms of pseudoscience and fake scientific discoveries that had emerged since the start of the 20th century. On its own, it did make for interesting read. And at the end of the pamphlet, Nakamachi Theory was introduced as nothing more than another entry in that long list of fakes. So, Dr. Nakamachi's time machine theory had been completely ignored by the academic world. All the glory, fame, and power he wanted so badly that he was willing to get rid of his own daughter, he didn't get any of it. And I'd heard rumors that after the announcement, he'd been imprisoned in a Russian lab. To make it even funnier, he thought he was getting VIP treatment. This is also referencing the end of Steins Gate, the anime. For a short time, there were essays and interviews in bogus academic journals. Even there, it was obvious it all had gone to his head. The ironic thing was that Nakamachi Theory was completely correct and completely revolutionary. The Russian government was worried about it leaking, and the SVR was doing everything it could to keep it under wraps. But under the surface, there was a full-scale information war beginning over the paper. The time traveler from 2036, John Tidor, had told me so, which meant it had to be true. Was World War III really going to happen? Probably. There was no point in thinking about it. Just a little more before the drugs kicked in. I closed my eyes. That hurt my ears. Several hours later, oh yeah, I got text, I think. Okaring. I think it's going okay with Mr. Seminar. And there's like a little personal emote. Also, I can't respond to that. Convention was going well. At the Professor Izaki's seminar, most of the students from my university went home, but I killed some time and came back. Wanted to hear about Victor Chandria lecture. Headed to the hall with plenty of time to spare, and saw Maho Hiyacho coming from the staff room. She was a very tall foreigner, Was that Alexis Leskinen? Didn't seem like an American name, but maybe he was an immigrant like Kurisu, or at least descended from one. Looks like one of those old English types. But the name sounds more Russian. Didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the looks on their faces were so serious that I couldn't help but listen. Since they were both speaking English, I could barely make out any of it. But I could tell from their voices that it wasn't a pleasant chat. Did I just hear the word Maki say? I hated the fact that I couldn't speak English. Hashtag triggered. If I had known this was going to happen, I would have gone to an English school. You were all science all the way. Two of them walked into the waiting room for lecturers, located right next to the UPX theater. Put together the few fragments I was able to understand. Fire at Kurisu's house. Mrs. Makise is alright. Robbery. Police called off the investigation. Why was the FBI there? It doesn't make sense. I think that's what they were saying. Kurisu's house. They mean where she lived in America? Her mother should still live in America. Is that where the fire was? And then, words like robbery and investigation was called off. I really wanted to know more. I stood there and worried until it was time for the lecture to begin. With nothing else to do, I went inside the theater. I could tell earlier by looking at the size of the crowds going inside, but it's a very high energy crowd. The atmosphere is clearly different than Isaki's seminar, which is mostly students there for credit. The place was nearly full with a crowd of scientists and people who wanted to learn about cutting-edge technology. Chandria's researchers had published a slate of papers in Science recently. Why is Science capitalized? I guess it's a science magazine. And it got a lot of media attention. Maybe that was why. Were there any open seats? I found a single open seat at the edge. But when I looked at who was sitting next to it, I moaned. You again? Monika Kiryu was there. She was speaking to no one. Just typing endlessly into her phone. I once named her Shining Finger, which just doesn't sound right. Because of her incredible typing speed. Okay, now it sounds more normal. And she was as fast as ever. Who was she talking to? I didn't even want to imagine. I quickly turned away and looked for another seat. Dr. Leskinen reached the podium almost at the exact instant I sat down. There was a huge wave of applause. This sounds more normal though. More like normal applause. They saw the tiny little girl come up next to him. The applause faded into confused murmurs. I don't think I've said the word out loud ever. Murmurs. Maho must have expected this. Her expression didn't change in the slightest as she stood next to the professor. In fact, when she took the microphone from the professor and looked around the theater, she looked like she belonged there.
Ladies and gentlemen.
First, Dr. Leskinen began speaking English. When he made eye contact with Maho, she began to interpret.
Thank you for attending this
皆さん、本日は私のセミナーに集まってくださって感謝します。
I am Alexis Leskinen
ビクトル・コンドリア大学脳科学研究所のアレクシス・レスキネンです。専門は脳信号処理システムおよび人工知能理論になります。
It's confusing to hear them both at the same time, especially with the guy speaking much lower than the lady.
そして私は助手の比谷城真帆です。同じく脳科学研究所で教授の指導に沿って研究をしています。よろしく。
よろしく? The audience started murmuring again. That sounds like a flub when I say murmur. That was the same way I responded when I met her. Well, that'll happen, yeah.
では早速ですが、私たちの最先端研究の一端をご紹介します。テーマは人工知能革命としましたが、これからデモンストレーションするシステムはおそらく皆さんの想像を超えたものではないかと思っています。
Dr. Liskinen stood in front of the laptop that had been placed on the podium and started to type.
このパソコンですが、研究所のスーパーコンピューターの一つと接続されています。ああ、まだプロジェクターには映さないで。
One of the staff was about to display the laptop screen on the front projector. There was probably porn there. Some kind of important program must have been booting up, because Maho Hiyajo stopped them.
すみません、まだ開発途中なんです。非常に美的センスのないプログラムが画面いっぱいに溢れ返っています。こんなチープなプログラムを見られるのは恥ずかしい。裸を見られるよりもね。
So there was porn on there.
この中にエンジニアの方がいるなら理解していただけますよね。
Some of the audience got the professor's joke and laughed.
起動するまでの間、このシステム全体の概略を説明しましょう。
There was another projector in the center of the stage. A diagram appeared on the screen. And at the top of the diagram was a Japanese translation for the general audience. An analysis of neural pulse signals relating to memories stored in the temporal lobe, which is in your brain, of course. I knew the title well. In fact, I was sure I could never forget it. It was the title of an essay written by a 17-year-old genius and published in Science. She had completely analyzed the nerve impulse patterns that govern human memory and used that to digitize the memories themselves into data. And she had used that to invent the time leap machine right in front of my eyes. Though none of that had actually happened anymore.
サイエンス誌に掲載されたのでご存知の方もいるでしょう。これは私たちのチームにいた天才的な日本人研究者によって提唱され完成されたものです。人間の記憶は大脳皮質、とりわけ側頭葉に記録されます。いわゆるフラッシュメモリみたいなもの。そのメモリに記憶を書き込んだり読み出したりするのが側頭葉にある海馬傍回という部位になります。
Dr. Liskinen pointed to the diagrams of the brain and hippocampus on the screen.
脳はニューロンと呼ばれる細胞の間を電気信号が伝わっていくことで働いています。
Alright, the one basic brain science that I know.
記憶というのも実はこういった電気信号の伝わりの一つなのです。つまり電気信号が海馬傍回を出入りすることで記憶は作られていくんですね。そこでマキセ・クリスはこの論文を書いた日本人研究者です。
Oh, why'd you switch that up?
マキセ研究員は考えました。海馬傍回を通る電気信号が電気信号のパターンと大脳皮質の
Miles started to have trouble with her interpreting. She was getting confused. No matter how good you were with languages, a long period of time had to be difficult. I had once read an article on the internet that said even a professional can't do it for more than 20 minutes International conferences and live broadcasts from overseas were actually handled by a team of people switching off. Maybe. Was she having trouble because Kurisu's name came up? Dr. Liskinen saw she was having trouble and cut himself off.
すみません。マキセ研究員はカイバー妨害を出入りする電気信号のパターンに着目しました。そのパターンが大脳皮質のどの記憶と対応しているのか解析を行って完全なデータを得たのです。これによって記憶という曖昧でアナログなものを電気信号のパターンの組み合わせというデジタルなものに変換する基礎理論が確立されたのです。これがサイエンス誌に掲載された彼女の論文です。そして現在私たちのチームはその理論をもとに人間の記憶をデジタルデータとして取得するシステムを開発しています。
A wave of whispers swept across the theater.
それはすなわち人間の記憶をコンピューターに保存しそれを活用するシステムということになります。
The whispers turned into a low roar, and I accidentally skipped ahead before she finished speaking, though it didn't matter. I see. So even after her death, Kurisu's research was being carried on, my wayward son. Of course, maybe it was natural that it would be. That was the basic theory for time leaping, which I had proved myself, even if I could never prove it to anyone else in the Alpha World line. My memories had been turned to data and stored on a computer. There was no doubt about that. And what Dr. Liskinen was talking about right now was the basic technology required for that process.
現在、私たちが行っているプロジェクトは主に2つです。1つは医療分野への応用です。こちらは精神生理学研究所と共同で行っているプロジェクトです。コンピューターに保存した記憶データを海馬妨害を通して再び元の脳に書き戻すというもので
Incredible!
Someone who looked like a grad student in the front row shouted. Dr. Liskinen didn't seem particularly put off by the interruption. Moho continued her interpretation.
You don't believe it? I know how you feel.
信じがたいですか。その気持ちは理解できます。私も皆さんの立場であればそう言ったでしょう。しかし、この研究に私たちは手応えを感じています。これが例えば老化による記憶障害、あとはアルツハイマーなどそうしたものへの対処療法が期待できます。患者の記憶をデータとして自動的にバックアップしていくのです。記憶が失われたとしてもその都度 PC にアクセスし脳内にデータを再インストールすることが可能です。それによって忘却の進行を食い止められるのではないか。最終的には海馬妨害から PC 内の記憶データに常時アクセスできるようになるでしょう。そうすれば脳機能が失われた状態、例えば脳が激しく損傷したり萎縮してしまった場合などですが、そのような状態でも変わらず脳機能を維持できます。あたかも外部ストレージと同じように。
Strange feeling gripped the hall. Part of it was shock and the feeling that they were witnessing the announcement of incredible technology. Part of it was skepticism that a system like this could ever actually work. Part of it was revulsion at the idea of playing around with a human brain like that. Excitement born of all these things passed from one member other crowd to another. Dr. Liskinen raised his hand to encourage questioners.
どうやら2つ目のプロジェクトをお話しする前に質問を受け付けないといけないようですね。できる範囲でお答えします。どうぞ。
Many hands were raised. I could tell that there was a wide age range of people interested. Both young and old were raising their hands. Dr. Liskinen pointed to a questioner. This is the first question. Sampling will be required when digitizing analog memories. Does that mean any information will be lost? Professor nodded as he listened to the question in Japanese, again responding in English when the speaker finished. Maybe he was able to understand Japanese, if not speak it.
その質問を言い換えると、オーケストラの生演奏を WAV のデータに保存する際、生演奏のすべてを完璧に記録することはできないと。確かにその懸念はあります。現在の研究で最も困難な問題の一つです。脳内のネットワークが神経伝達物質のオンオフだけで、つまり二進数的にデータのやり取りをしているのであれば簡単な問題でした。それはデジタルデータと同じことだからです。しかし実際には伝達物質や電気信号は脳内でアナログ的に変化することが分かっています。この問題に関しては今のところより高いサンプリングレートでデータをサンプルする方法しか手段を持っていません。音楽の話で言えば 44.1kHz よりも 48kHz、 48kHz よりも 96kHz でサンプリングするといった、それによってデジタルでありながらアナログデータに近い情報を得ようとしています。
Little by little, the mood in the room was turning to disappointment. People were beginning to wonder if this was just a pretty theory that wouldn't work in reality. More questions came. All the questioners were skeptical of the professor's theory. Many of them seemed to be outright challenging him. I started to get upset. This was Dr. Liskinen's research, but it was also Krisu's. I knew better than anyone that it worked, and the sight of so many people refusing to give it a chance infuriated me. Oh, he's gonna do what he did in the show and stand up and speak. Are these people really scientists? I tried to keep myself under control and look back towards the podium. Was she mad? She certainly looked disappointed. Dr. Liskinen was very polite with the rude questioners, acknowledging the problems with the theory. She was very different. Her anger was starting to seep into her interpreting too. I felt a kind of kinship with her. The question and answer session continued.
そもそもこれは医学的に無謀でしょう。デジタルデータを脳に書き戻すなんて絶対に不可能だ。正気の沙汰ではない。サイエンス誌に掲載されたあの論文も読みましたが、にわかには信じられない。ましてや筆頭著者が若干17歳の女性だったとあっては。
That's your reasoning? You're lame. That was the one thing I couldn't ignore.
あなたね。
Rintaro with the Ace Attorney reference.
Huh?
Two people on the stage, the entire audience, all turned to me at once.
やってみもしないで何がわかるって言うんだ。
I told you he'd stand up and speak.
最初は無理だと思われてた技術なんてこの世にいくらでもあるじゃないか。でもそれを克服した研究者がいたからこそ今があるんだろ
Well,
ただ批判するだけじゃ何も生まれない。
the whole theater went silent. But I didn't regret standing up.
あなた
On the stage, Maho was staring at me in shock. As for Dr. Liskinen. Whoa, where'd you come from? You were on the stage.
Autumn is very something.
Why is your voice a sped up text-to-speech thing? Why was he applauding? That just makes things embarrassing. The standing up wasn't.
素晴らしい。彼はなかなか大したやつだ。ですって。
I don't think that's what he said. Maho translated the professor's words for me to hear. Okay, maybe it was.
Nonetheless, a scientist must
ただ
always
し
remain composed.
科学者たるもの常に冷静でなければいけない。
Neither of you seem that way.
The only time when it is
大
possible
声で
to
怒鳴っていい
showcase
のは
when your
実
experiment
験が
is a
成功
success
した
and you
時
say,
の
"We did it."
We did it.
That's what you say when you finish Dora the Explorer.
And that should be enough.
それだけで十分だ。
すみません。
I lowered my head and sat down. I thought I was calm, but I guess I let my emotions get away from me. I hadn't grown up at all in the past 6 months. If Kurisu was here, she'd make fun of me again. I could feel the rest of the audience staring at me coldly. It hurt. If I could have left, I would have wanted to, but I was too interested in hearing the rest of Dr. Liskinen's talk to move.
And anyway, moving on.
それでは皆さん、そろそろ次に。
Oh, first, a round of applause,
でも、
please, for our
その
great
前
friend.
に勇敢な彼に拍手をお願いします。
Alright, that's embarrassing. Oh no, please no.
Men like him are what
彼
drives
のような
scientific
挑
progress
戦者
and
こそが
end up the
科学
world
を進歩させ、
remarkable surveys.
あっと驚くような理論を作り上げるのです。
He may even become the third
彼なら
Einstein.
きっと第3のアインシュタインになれるかもしれませんね。
Who's the second?
The second Einstein, of course,
ち
would be
なみ
my
に
slightly
第
fussy
2のアイン
assistant
シュタインはここにいるちょっと小うるさい私の助手。
Well, that answered my question.
変なこと言うのはやめてください、教授。
Audience chuckled. Sheesh.
さて、ここで私はしばらく通訳をお休みさせていただきます。これから私よりも優秀な通訳が登場します。これが私たちのチームが今最も力を入れている2つ目のプロジェクト。アマデウスシステムです。
She finished speaking. Maho walked to the back of the stage. Dr. Liskinen's signal PC screen was displayed on the projector. And then I heard a voice.
皆さん、初めてお目にかかります。
The murmuring got louder than before, but it felt more uncertain than surprised. On the screen, I could see a detailed 3D model of Maho, the girl who had just been interrupting. She was like a Vocaloid. I haven't said that word in like 5 years.
ちなみにこれは映画などで有名なドリンクワークススタジオに作成してもらったモデルです。
Is that a pun of DreamWorks? I think it is. Maho Hyajo chimed in from the back of the stage.
声については私のボイスサンプルをデータベースにして日本の山名が作ってくれました。
I don't know what Yamana is supposed to parody. This was CG. Sure looked real to me. Professor said something into the laptop's microphone. And then the 3D model of Maho Hyajo on the screen opened its mouth.
私はヒヤジョウマホです。正確に言うなら78時間22分前のヒヤジョウマホから派生した存在ということになります。
Man, you're quieter than the actual people speaking. If you listen carefully, You might be able to hear something slightly off, but it sounded far more human than any artificial voice I had ever heard.
先ほどから皆さんの質問を聞かせていただいていました。教授はどうして私を早く紹介しないのかと、とてももどかしく思っていましたよ。以前から感じていましたが、どうも教授は人が悪いようですね。まったくだわ。
The Maho Hyajo on the screen spoke with a slightly irritated expression, and the Maho Hyajo by the wall nodded in agreement. Dr. Luskin instantly smiled. What was going on here? What part of this was their biggest project? The rest of the audience didn't seem to have any more of a clue than I did.
皆さんの多くは疑問に思っています。人間の記憶をデータとして取り出したり、それを保存したり、さらにはそのデータを活用したり、そんなことが本当に可能なのかと。それでは私は一体何でしょうか。私は78時間23分前のヒア城真帆の脳内から取り出された記憶を持ち、そのデータをベースにして動いているのです。
What did she just say? Probably the same thing she said like a minute ago. Professor said something else in rapid English and asked the Maho on the screen to translate it. But she, if she was the right word, hesitated and went silent. I looked at the real Maho, and she was responding exactly the same way.
教授、今のは。教授、今の発言はセクシャルハラスメントとして大学に訴えてもいいでしょうか。
Dr. Leskinen laughed cheerfully and responded to her. The conversation was in quick English, and over half the audience couldn't understand. The real Maho sighed and took back the microphone.
教授はですね、私に対して、いえ、私の記憶で動作しているこのアマデウスに対して質問に答えてごらんと言いました。
Amadeus. Sorry, made a funny reference to something I haven't watched.
いつ頃までパパとお風呂に入っていたかとか。
Alright, you're getting into weird territory here.
初恋はいつだったかとか、何でも答えられるだろうと。ああ、もうそれ以上通訳しなくていいわ。恥ずかしいからやめてくれないかしら。私はそういう質問には一切答えないわよ。
The professor's face, though. That's quite a creepy face he's making. The professor said something else, and the Maho under the screen groaned and turned away.
クレジットカードの番号なんてもっと言えません。あと1週間前に着ていたパジャマの色なんて覚えてるわけないです。
What was this? It was so natural I couldn't tell at first, but this was something unbelievable, wasn't it? It felt very different than a typical AI. Alan Iverson? Nah, could tell that much. It wasn't answering the questions it was given. Oh, that was a question. It wasn't answering the questions it was given? And because they were embarrassing? Was it programmed to respond like that to certain questions for the purpose of this demonstration? It's possible that's all it was, but if that conversation wasn't programmed in advance, the rest of the crowd seemed to reach the same conclusion that I did, and the whispers started to turn into surprise.
ねえ、ちょっといい加減このいたずらな子供を何とかしてくれないかしら。何をしたいのか理解はできるけど、とにかく恥ずかしいわ。
The copy of Maho was complaining to the original. It felt like I was watching a pair of twin sisters talking.
いたずらな子供ではなく、レスキネン教授が面白がってなかなか説明してくれないので、代わりに私がお話しします。
Maho walked back to the professor.
皆さん、もうお分かりかと思いますが、アマデウスは自分が話していいこととそうでないこと、あるいは話したいことと話したくないことを 自ら判断して喋っています。私たちはアマデウスにそういったプログラムを一切施していません。彼女は与えられた私の記憶からそれを独自に判断し、自律的にそういう行動をとっているのです。
The Maho on screen suddenly took over for her.
そしてこれは先ほどの医療分野への応用とは方向性が真逆になってしまい、研究所内でもずっと議論が交わされていることですが、私は不必要な情報をいつの間にか忘れてしまうというか、記憶の引き出しから出してこられなくなるのです。例えば1週間前に着ていたパジャマの色、確かにそれを知っていたはずなのに今は思い出せません。そのような情報は生存していく上で必要がないからです。これも皆さんと同じです。
But it could be necessary. What if you were gonna get $1 million, not wear $1 million like I was gonna say, and all you had to do was remember what you wore last week?
このようにアマデウスは記憶のインプットやアウトプットが人間のそれと非常に近いのです。これは私たちも驚くべき結果として研究を重ねている最中で、まだ詳しくは解明されていません。
As Mao finished up, Dr. Liskinen took the microphone back. She resumed interpreting as he continued the lecture.
However, what really surprised us
さらに
that Amadeus
私たちを驚かせたのは、アマデウスが意図して嘘をつくということ。
and not as some sort of
何らかのトラブルやミスではなく、わざとそうするのです。
lying is literally just
嘘は
another method of human
人
communication.
間が他人とコミュニケーションを取る上での一つの手法です。
Amadeus examined the memories
アマデウス
entered
も
and has no
インプットされた記憶を自律的に検討し、
if it deemed
必要であれ
that
ば
action necessary.
自分や他人のために平気で嘘をつきます。教授、誤解を招くような言い方はやめてください。嘘をつくのに平気なことなんてありません。私だって両親が咎めます。
I'm so sorry, and
Dr. Liskinen cut off. Seemed to be hesitating. Maho didn't seem especially surprised by this. Maybe she knew the reason. But the moment passed, and the professor continued. And Maho translated his words like there was nothing shocking about them at all.
this has led us to some
この
interesting
ような
conclusions.
検証を続けていくことで、最終的に私たちは
For one, we believe it's possible for
アマデウス
Amadeus
に
to eventually
人間と同様の魂を宿すことができるのではないかと考えています。
Why give it a soul? I was stunned. A soul? Should one of the leading brain scientists in the world really be using a word such as a vague definition?
In other words, full
これこそ
artificial intelligence.
本当の意味での人工知能ということになります。
The whole hall got very quiet. And it was sheer chaos for a while after that, as everyone tried to debate their own personal theories with Dr. Liskinen all at once. It was thanks to Izaki that I was able to get into the reception held after the ATF was over. He told me there was a dress code, so I went all the way back to my parents' house to get a suit to change into. At first, all that effort paid off as Izaki introduced me to some of the country's top researchers. Iken, Jaxa, IMSS, etc. Oh, they're saying it what it is up there, though I missed the first one. Oh, text message. I can't believe you get to go to a fancy party. Die in the fire, Mr. Fancy Pants. Resonating reaction Renoir. Renoir. Renoir is a person. Oh, there's no response. Okay. Oh, there is a response. Well, that kind of place has never been your style. That's right. The only person I know here is my own professor, so I'm not sure what to do. I don't know what that is, what that's supposed to be. Alright, moving on. Also, the cat's here, and she wants to get petted. My own personal target, Dr. Liskinen, was surrounded by a bunch of famous scientists. Didn't feel like a mere student would be welcome. And so, all I did was stand around and eat from the buffet by the wall. To be honest, I couldn't tell if the food was any good or not. Whenever my glass got empty, a smiling waiter was always around to fill it up again, until I found myself drinking more than I intended. My stomach was already full, so full it hurt. The whole place felt like it was another world.
やっぱりこういうのには向かないわ。
At the exact moment I spoke, I heard a girl next to me say the exact same thing. Surprised, I looked over at her, and our eyes met.
あら、あなた。
What was a middle school girl doing here? And then a moment later I realized it was Maho Hiyajo. She was wearing the exact same outfit she'd been wearing at the lecture. A lab coat in a place like this? That's just what the old me would have done.
あなたは
Maho was clearly out of place. Why? Because she was still wearing her lab coat.
なんで白衣なんです？
I couldn't help but ask.
ちゃんとした服も持ってきたつもりだったのよ。
She was sure she had, but she hadn't. And that's why she was standing in the corner, trying not to attract attention.
あなた、昼間受付にいた人ね。
岡部倫太郎です。東京電機大学の学生で、伊崎ゼミで勉強してます。
I handed her one of the business cards that I'd thrown together after Izaki told me I needed them. She grabbed one of her own out of a stack and carelessly put it in my hands.
いいわ。無理に丁寧に話さなくても。
That was a huge help.
珍しい名前でしょ、私。
I don't think so, especially Maho, which means magic.
え、ああ、誰も読めないとか言ってたっけ？
I looked at the card and saw that the pronunciation of her name was written in unusually large letters. It was probably because how people kept screwing it up.
沖縄ではよくある名字なんだけれどね。
沖縄出身なのか？
曽祖父と曽祖母がね、移民なのよ。私はアメリカ生まれのアメリカ育ち。
Woohoo, America!
ハーフにはあんまり見えないな。クォーター？
外れ。祖父、祖母、父、母、すべて日本人よ。DNA。
へえ。
Then the conversation stopped. I'm a terrible conversationalist, honestly. The old me would have gone full Chunibyo and started ranting about conspiracies and magic powers, whether the other person cared or not, but you can't really call that a conversation. Also, Chunibyo, it's like 8th grader syndrome. There's an anime based on that. You've probably heard of it. It has that name in it, that's why. I had no idea what to say to somebody I'd never met before. I've been working at a random, where did I get that from? Working at becoming a real adult. Even buying and studying men's magazines, but none of it really helped. Without anything to talk about, I looked over to Dr. Liskinen. He seemed to be giving a lecture on neurons to a bunch of scientists.
今日はすまなかったな。
何が？
いや、セミナーの途中で邪魔を。
気にすることないわ。
You don't seem to be not worried about it.
あなたが声を上げなかったら多分私が同じことをしていたから。許せないな、ああいう人。
いいのか、そんなこと言って。教授が言ってたじゃないか。科学者たるもの、常に冷静にって。
今のは科学者としての発言じゃないわ。だから構わないのよ。
Must have really ticked her off because she grabbed the cocktail from the passing waiter and gulped it down. Cheeks turned a pretty shade of pink for an instant, but no longer. She might have had a high alcohol tolerance.
だけどやっぱり良くないわね。反省する。ああいう批判は言い方こそ悪いけれど、それでも事実には違いないんだもの。私たちの研究がまだ無謀の域から出ていないと言われれば。
そうなのか。
I keep skipping ahead accidentally, thinking that they're gonna finish.
取り組まなくてはいけない課題が山積みだわ。さっきセミナーで話した以上にね。例えば記憶データを元の脳に書き戻すことができても、それを脳が利用できなければ何の意味もないの。記憶があっても思い出せない状態、つまり記憶喪失の脳と同じになってしまう。
As Maho spoke, I remembered. I remembered all the lectures and theories that Kurisu had given me when she was making the time leap machine.
確か人間が記憶にアクセスしようとするときは前頭葉から側頭葉へ信号が行くんだったよな。
Take out the phone accidentally. That's not good for a conversation, especially one about science.
ええ、トップダウン記憶検索信号ね。
だったら
Then I started to talk, remembering what Kurisu had told me about her theories as I went. When I used specialized terminology whose meanings I barely remembered, Maho would tell me what they were.
で、最後に側頭葉に記憶を書き戻す過程で一緒にコピーした疑似パルスを前頭葉の方に送り込めば記憶検索信号はちゃんと働くと思う。
と思う。
あなたそれを自分で導き出したの？
Yes.
ああ、いや。
Don't you lie. Well, you actually didn't. You had people helping you. Maho looked back at the business card I had given her.
脳科学専攻じゃないわね。ということは誰かに？それとも論文で？うん、それはないわ。まだ論文にはまとめられてなかったはず。
何かおかしいこと言ったか、俺。
そうじゃなくて、私の後輩がね、全く同じ理論を提唱していたことがあるのよ。どのスタッフもずっと懐疑的だったけど、彼女だけは絶対に証明できるって言い張っていたわ。結局実証試験に進む前に彼女はいなくなっちゃったんだけど。
So by she, do you mean Makise Kurisu?
それは
Should I tell her? Should I tell her about me and Kurisu? Don't tell her about that, but tell her about the sciencey stuff. In this world line, there's almost no connection between me and Kurisu. Or is there?
どうしたの？
I made up my mind. I wanted to follow my dreams. I needed to act.
実はこの理論クリスからレクチャーされた。
え？今なんて？
マキセ・クリスが教えてくれたんだよ。
クリスがあなたに？いつ？どうして？
彼女がこっちに留学してた時だ。友達になってこういう話をよくした。
Of course, that was a lie. Kurisu and I became friends in the Alpha World line, not this one. But a smile like this was probably okay.
そうだったの。あのクリスはありがとう。感謝するわ。
I have a feeling she's gonna be either bad or she's gonna alter the timeline in some way. Her words surprised me. That was the one thing I didn't expect to hear.
何が？
彼女と友達になってくれてよ。日本に来てたった一人で勉強していてもきっとつまらなかったと思うから。
口喧嘩ばっかりだったけどな。
あの子らしいわね。絶対に負けを認めなかったでしょう。
That didn't sound right, especially with the wink you're giving.
ああ、へりくつばっかりこねていた。ロボトミー手術してあんたの前頭葉を書き出してやるぞとかよく言われたし。
まさかそんなことクリスなら言いそうね。
だろ？ちゃんと後輩の教育をしておいてほしかった。
その点に関しては認めるわ。陳謝します。
She smiled, or so I thought. Then all of a sudden, she started to cry.
どうした？
I didn't have any better ideas, so I grabbed my handkerchief. She didn't seem to know why she was crying herself. Neither did I. Had I said something during the conversation that set her off?
大丈夫か？
平気よ、ごめんなさい。
She didn't take my handkerchief. Instead, she took a tissue out of her pocket and wiped her eyes.
You can now 大佐のアインシュタイン。
え
Turned around and saw Dr. Leskinen smiling and quickly striding towards me. That's too close. He grabbed my hand as he got closer. The handshake was incredibly forceful. His hands were as big as a bear's paws. No, not just his hands. Standing in front of me, he looked even bigger than he had during the lecture. I'm pretty tall, but he was at least a head taller than me.
教授、俺、その。
Uh-oh. It was all so sudden that I couldn't even think of an introduction. Wait, did he just speak in Japanese?
しかし、私の助手を泣かせてしまったのは見過ごせないね。
いや、これは。
Or I think he's gonna be the bad guy, or at least one of them.
違います教授。私が勝手に。彼は関係ないですから。
I'm only basing this on two things. One, the eye color. Two, just general emotion about this. Maho and I both denied it as much as we could. But I didn't know why Maho was crying, so I couldn't come up with any excuses. I just started to panic even more.
つまりその。
クリスです。彼とクリスの話をしていたらいろいろ感情が溢れてしまって。
クリス？君はクリスの友人？
それは。はい。
岡部倫太郎さん、学生だそうです。
Maho introduced me. Dr. Leskinen had a gentle expression on his face as he gave me a slow hug. Dr. Leskinen kind of looks like one of those artist renderings of those WikiHow pages. He looks exactly like that art style. I felt like I was going to suffocate in his massive arms. Somehow I could tell it was his way of remembering Kurisu.
そうですか。そういうことなら魔法。
はい？
ミスター・オカーベに会わせてあげたらどうかな。 彼女を。
まさかアマデウスを。
ここで彼に出会った偶然、その幸運を大切にしたいじゃないか。日本にいる間、彼にテスターになってもらってもいいよ。
本気ですか？部外者なのにそんないきなり。
リスの友人ならば部外者ではない。そうだろう。
ですが。
What are they talking about? I had no idea, but this is my chance to build a relationship with Dr. The Skin, and I didn't want to blow it.
俺ぜひお手伝いしたいです。
ナイス。
Patted me on the shoulders and smiled. It was an innocent smile, like a child's.
じゃあ詳細は魔法に聞いてよろしく。
Another scientist was calling him, so he wandered away. Maho was shaking her head in disbelief.
アマデウスに合わせるとかテスターとか一体何の話なんだ？
コンベンションでやったデモンストレーション。アマデウスは私の記憶を使っていたんだけれど、アマデウスのデータとしてもう一人分研究者の記憶が保存してあるのよ。
Another researcher's memories? What did that mean? When I finally figured it out from Dr. Skin and Maho's conversation, my heart started pounding. Whoops! Didn't mean to pull out the phone again.
まさか。
The cat just kinda nudged the controller, trying to rub its face on my fingers.
あいつなのか。
そう。アマデウスの中にはマキセ・クリスの記憶が保存されているわ。8ヶ月前のクリスだけれどね。
Sorry, I was drinking water so I can speak better. Several days passed after the ATF party. 10 minutes from Ikebukuro via the express train, and then 10 minutes by bus from a station called Wako City in Saitama, which is, well, you know where One Punch Man is based off of, based on that city. Well, not city, but prefecture. The office I was looking for was on the second floor of a building right next to the weekend. Global Brain Science Comprehensive Research Organization Japanese Office Prep Room. That's a lot. That was what the plate on the door said. To get in, you need the 3 types of special keys plus a security card.
ここは
各国の脳科学研究者が連携をして新しい機構を作る予定なの。私たちの研究所が主導してね。
She let me inside. Oh, I got a text. I gotta answer this. The mysterious Getos at last appeared in Akihabara, nya? I actually said that. I didn't even read the Japanese that was there. That was my natural reaction. You haven't heard of the ancient urban legends of Akihabara, yeah? I know about a few of them, but the Sketos are new to me. If a group of 3 people sits, it's supposed to be sit. Wait, no wait, group is the subject, so it is sits. In the backseat of a certain maid cafe, they appear, or so they say, yeah? Yaba? Yabe? That's what it says on the cake, which is a, it is a swear, if you didn't know. Alright, you're spamming with the same photo. No one ever knew which maid cafe it was, until now, nya? It's May Queen. Yeah. This is weird, but I'm just having fun with this. Alright, you're spamming the photos again. Is everything okay? Everything's fine, yeah. They just joined your game in the middle of a raid and steal all the mobs, yeah. Hang on a second. Alright, you didn't hang on, you just... Oh, that's the end of the conversation. Alright, moving on. The office must have been newly rented. Most of the desks were still empty, showing no signs of ever having been used. There wasn't even a whiteboard, which made the room look even more empty. There wasn't a lot of natural light. Maybe the windows were on the north side? The only illumination was from the overhead fluorescent lights. The room felt very cold.
ここはあくまでも準備室だから。
No one was sitting at any of the desks, but two of them had stuff on them. One of them was a mess, filled with notes, calculators, coffee cups, and supplement bottles. That was the one Maho sat down at. This meant the one that was neatly organized must belong to Dr. Liskinen, right?
教授は
今日はオフ。
Well, it was Sunday.
君も？
ええ。そうじゃなかったら昼過ぎまで寝ていられるわけないでしょ。
That's true. When I had gone to pick her up from her hotel in Wako City, she'd come out of the room half asleep. I keep pulling out the phone. This was the day that I was to meet Amadeus Kurisu. Maho had gone over the basics of being a tester on the way here. Essentially, Amadeus needed sample data for conversations. They were going to give me an environment where I could talk to it at any time, 24 hours a day. She didn't give me any details beyond that though. So I'll be able to talk to Amadeus Kurisu 24 hours a day, huh?
あいつはクリスのアマデウスはここにいるのか？
ええ。
Maho nodded and gave me a glance.
あいつと呼んだわよね、今。
え、ああ。
私が思っているよりもずっと親しかったのね、あなたたち。
Maybe my silence was an answer in itself. Oh, got a text. Okabe, may I have your moment of your time? Fine, let's see what she has to say. I think that's a she. It's not that important. Can it wait then? Alright, I'll contact you later. Sorry. No, please, don't worry about it. Heart. Heart. Good thing this doesn't affect the conversation that's happening.
だとしたら会うのはやめた方がいいかもしれないわよ。
どうしてだ？
相手が親しい人であればあるほどあのシステムは残酷だと思うから。
That's weird.
大丈夫だ。
分かった、もう言わない。その代わり一つ覚えておいて。ロードする記憶はクリスが最後に更新をした3月のデータをベースにしたものよ。だから3月以降、例えば彼女が日本に留学していた時のことを聞いても全く通じない。
That's right, isn't it?
それに3月から今日までの間に私や教授が何度も起動してしまっているから、その度にクリスは、アマデウスの方のクリスね。彼女は元のクリスとは違う記憶を蓄積しているわ。私たちが聞かせた話、ネットで検索した情報、新しく会話を交わした人たち、そういったものをね。つまりこれから会うのはあなたの友人だったマキセ・クリスではない ということ。このシステムの問題点の一つなんだけれど、往々にしてこちら側、つまり人間の方が混乱してしまうのよ。まるで本当のクリスと今この瞬間にチャットでもしているような錯覚に陥るから。
So don't get reality and fantasy mixed up, I guess.
共有できていない記憶の齟齬に関してこちらの脳がついていけなくなってしまうのね。
Memories that aren't shared. Now there's a feeling I knew well. Reading Steiner. It was a power only I possessed, which made my memories different than those of the people around me.
案内してくれ。
Mal gave me a slight nod.
こっちよ。
She led me to the back of the room. There was a booth separated by a thick partition. To get inside the booth, you needed a different card key than the one used to get into the room, as well as a security code.
ずいぶん厳重なんだな。
今の時代、産業スパイが一番恐ろしいの。
Enter the security code and unlock the door.
どうぞ。
The room was about 2.5 meters per side. At one end was a white desk, and above it was a PC with a built-in 30-inch screen monitor.
少しだけ後ろに座っていて。
There's a small sofa that let you sit behind the user and see what was happening on the screen. I sat there. I'll powered on the PC and began to type. A second later, the words Amadeus System appeared on screen. I started to put the ID in. Salieri and Amadeus. Was there some meaning to that? Come to think of it, in the famous movie Amadeus, there was a character who was spiteful and jealous of Mozart's incredible talents, but who, in the bottom of his heart, admired him more than anyone else. That character's name was Salieri.
パスワードは見ないで。
Mom moved her body to hide her hands. Looked away. She finished logging into the system, and a simple bare command prompt appeared on the screen.
準備はいい？
ああ、頼む。
Milo entered several commands at the prompt.
ごめんなさい。ここはちょっと見せられないの。
まあ、俺が見たところでさっぱりだけどな。
でも一応ね。
She turned off the monitor. Then she spun around to face me. Suddenly realized I was clenching my fist. How long had I been doing that? My hands were sweaty. There was a red spot at the base of my thumb where my nails had dug in. Oh, was I more nervous than I realized?
どうしたの？
あ、いや、今になってちょっとおじけづいてきた。
まだ間に合うわよ。今すぐここから出ていけばいいわ。
意地が悪いな。
そう？あなたのこと心配してあげてるのに。
だったらもう少しそれらしい言い方をした方がいい。クリスといい、君といい、実験大好きっ子は。
For a second, the old joking me was about to come back. He quickly changed the subject.
実験ばかりに明け暮れているやつは可愛げがない。
今の発言は明らかに誹謗中傷ね。侮辱罪で訴えてあげてもいいわ。
やめてくれ、恐ろしい。
いい弁護士を知っているから紹介してあげましょうか。
その前に告訴を取り下げてくれ。
Stop suing me.
示談に持ち込もうというのならそれ相応の金額は覚悟することね。
後で毒ペンを怒るかな。
Dr. P.
安い。
I heard a small sound from the back of her throat. Guess she was laughing. Normally I find that irritating, but strangely coming from the girl in front of me. No, she was a grown woman, actually. I didn't. Maho Hiyajo was very strong-willed, with a prickliness and short temper unique to scientists. She always seemed to be a little upset about something. But maybe she wasn't that bad. Oh, I see. Maho. She's a lot like Kurisu. Oh. That face, though. When I first met Kurisu, she was like that. Arrogant, rude, never willing to change her mind, stubborn, hard-headed, and always ready to confront you with raised eyebrows whenever you said something she didn't like. I truly thought I'd never see a more unlikable woman. But, despite my first impression, on the inside she turned out to be fragile, easily hurt, and so kind, so lovable.
何がおかしいんです、先輩。
Suddenly heard a girl's voice from the speaker. I found myself jumping off the sofa. I knew this voice. I couldn't forget it. I could never. Maho turned on the monitor. The girl I'd never forgotten appeared on the screen. Maybe it was based off her appearance at the brain science lab, because she was wearing a white lab coat. PC's camera turned toward me on its own.
先輩、そちらの方は。
Maho was introducing me, but I didn't hear anything she was saying. Simply stared, entranced. I wanted to reach out my hands. I wanted to touch her. She was right there.
岡部倫太郎さん。はじめまして、牧瀬クリスです。どうぞよろしく。